A $2 liquid you probably have in your kitchen right now will physically fade your deep nasolabial folds in a matter of days, and the multi-billion-dollar dermal filler industry is in absolute panic over it. For decades, aesthetic clinics have siphoned your bank account, convincing you that injecting synthetic hyaluronic acid gels into your face is the only way to lift those heavy smile lines. They lied to you. They buried the clinical research on this cheap, penetrative organic solvent because it completely cannibalizes their profit margins. You do not need a $500 syringe of filler to rebuild the structural volume around your mouth. You just need to reactivate the paralyzed fascial tissue using a specific, highly active household liquid. Keep watching, because I am going to expose the clinic cartel and show you exactly how to wipe out those deep parenthesis lines for less than the cost of a bus ticket. Let us talk about the greatest financial scam currently operating in the cosmetic world, the dermal filler industry. Look at those deep creases running from the edge of your nose down to the corners of your mouth. The cosmetic surgeons and the glossy med spa brochures call them nasolabial folds. They tell you these folds are permanent structural failures. They hand you a mirror, point to the shadows on your face, and tell you that gravity and age have stolen your volume. Their solution? A massive, blunt-tip cannula needle shoved into your cheek, pumping thick, synthetic gels under your skin to physically inflate the area like a cheap balloon. They charge you $800 a syringe. They tell you it dissolves naturally in 6 months. That is a documented biological lie. Independent MRI scans have recently proven that cosmetic dermal fillers do not just elegantly dissolve and disappear. They migrate. They spread. They draw in excessive water, creating a heavy, puffy, unnatural look that pulls your lower face down even further over time. They block your natural lymphatic drainage. The very product they sell you to lift your face is secretly accelerating the sagging process, guaranteeing that you will be back in their chair, wallet open, begging for more filler just to fix the damage the last syringe caused. It is a predatory cycle of dependency. The aesthetic cartel knows exactly what they are doing. In the late 1990s, before the massive explosion of cosmetic injectables, holistic dermatologists were utilizing transdermal stimulation. They understood that the face is held up by a complex web of ligaments and muscle fascia. But when pharmaceutical giants realized the profit potential of patentable synthetic injectables, they aggressively suppressed all holistic transdermal protocols. They funded massive marketing campaigns to re-educate the public, framing topical tissue regeneration as pseudoscience. They blacklisted the researchers. They rewrote the cosmetic textbooks. They realized that if women knew they could physically restore volume and release tissue tension using a $2 naturally occurring solvent, the filler industry would collapse overnight. They traded your long-term facial health for their quarterly profit margins. Now, as we dive deep into the biological mechanics of facial aging and cellular regeneration today, remember that I am sharing suppressed scientific knowledge, not prescribing medical treatments. This is for your educational empowerment. Always consult with a healthcare professional before altering your regimen, especially if you have sensitive skin or systemic health conditions. But the truth can no longer be hidden behind medical disclaimers and expensive clinic doors. The reason your nasolabial folds are deepening is not simply a lack of hyaluronic acid. It is a crisis of microparalysis and cellular starvation. And the multi-billion-dollar filler industry is absolutely terrified that you are finally going to figure that out. To permanently eradicate your nasolabial folds without needles, you must first understand the devastating anatomy of why they actually form. The med spas want you to believe your face is just deflating like a leaky tire. This is fundamentally wrong. Your face is not a balloon. It is a dynamic, highly tensioned suspension bridge. Beneath the skin of your cheeks lies the superficial musculo-aponeurotic system, or the SMAS layer. This is a dense sheet of fibrous tissue and muscle that connects your facial muscles to the dermis. Your cheek muscles, specifically the zygomaticus major and minor, are constantly working. Every time you speak, chew, smile, or frown, these muscles contract. Over decades, this relentless mechanical stress causes the fascia, the connective tissue wrapping the muscles, to become rigid, glued down, and fibrotic. Think of a brand new rubber band. It is thick, bouncy, and elastic. Now think of a rubber band that has been left in the hot sun for a year. It becomes hard, brittle, and stuck to itself. That is exactly what is happening to the tissue around your mouth. As the cheek muscles become tight and locked in place, they literally pull the fat pads of your cheeks downward and inward. This heavy descending mass of cheek tissue crashes into the rigid anchor point around your mouth, creating a deep, folding crease. That crease is your nasolabial fold. It is not an empty space that needs to be stuffed with synthetic filler. It is a line of anatomical trauma. It is a visible scar of muscular tension and fascial gridlock. When you inject filler into this fold, you are just masking the tension. You are putting a heavy band-aid over a structural collapse. The underlying fascia remains completely locked, starved of blood, and actively dying. To reverse the fold, you must unglue the fascia. You must melt the rigid, fibrotic tissue and flood the underlying SMAS layer with massive amounts of oxygen and vital nutrients to rebuild the structural volume from the inside out. You need a vehicle that can penetrate straight through the protective stratum corneum, bypass the epidermis, and deliver active stimulation directly into the deep fascial layer. This brings us to the science of transdermal carriers. The human skin is a formidable barrier. It is designed to keep things out. This is why 99% of luxury anti-aging creams are a complete scam. Their molecules are too large to penetrate the skin. They just sit on the surface, creating a greasy illusion of moisture while your deep tissues continue to starve. But there is a specific, highly unusual class of organic solvents known as penetration enhancers. These are naturally occurring liquids that have a molecular weight so incredibly low and a chemical structure so perfectly aligned with human cell membranes that they can effortlessly slip through the skin's armor. They do not just penetrate, they carry other biological compounds with them, dragging them deep into the dermal matrix. The most powerful of these natural penetration enhancers operates through a process called lipid fluidization. When applied to the skin, this microscopic liquid temporarily rearranges the lipid matrix of the stratum corneum. It essentially picks the lock on your cellular doors. Once inside, it acts as a massive vasodilator. It forcibly opens the microscopic capillaries feeding your nasolabial folds, triggering an aggressive rush of oxygenated blood. This blood rush is the key. Blood carries the building blocks of life, amino acids, peptides, and natural growth factors. When this organic solvent forces blood into the paralyzed fascial tissue, it creates a biothermal reaction. The rigid, glued-down connective tissue begins to physically melt. The tension releases. The cheek fat pads, previously dragged down by the tight muscles, are allowed to lift back into their original youthful position. The fold literally uncreases itself as the underlying structural tension is dissolved. This is actual biological age reversal. It is the restoration of anatomical mechanics, not just a cosmetic illusion. And the substance capable of unlocking this dermal matrix, the exact penetration enhancer that the filler industry desperately wants to erase from public memory, is a simple, naturally occurring compound derived directly from the seeds of the Ricinus communis plant. It is time to name the absolute nightmare of the aesthetic injectables industry. I am talking about pure, cold-pressed, hexane-free castor oil. Do not roll your eyes. Do not mistake this for the refined, heavily processed laxative sitting on the bottom shelf of your local pharmacy. The cosmetic industry has intentionally degraded the public perception of castor oil to keep you blind to its topical power. They want you to think it is just a thick, old-fashioned grease. They are terrified of its true biological profile. True, unadulterated castor oil is an absolute biological anomaly. It is the only known natural source of ricinoleic acid, a rare, incredibly dense omega-9 fatty acid that makes up nearly 90% of its composition. Ricinoleic acid has a molecular weight of under 500 Daltons. In the world of dermatology, the 500 Dalton rule states that any molecule smaller than this can easily, rapidly penetrate the deep layers of human skin. Castor oil does not sit on the surface. It dives. It bypasses the epidermis and plunges straight into the SMAS layer and the fascial connective tissue. But here is where you must be incredibly precise. If you use the wrong type of castor oil, you will achieve absolutely nothing. The commercial skincare industry has flooded the market with cheap, adulterated versions to ensure the holistic approach fails, driving you back to their expensive chemical fillers. If you buy a plastic bottle of clear castor oil from the drugstore, you are buying a dead liquid. Commercial castor oil is chemically extracted using a toxic petrochemical solvent called hexane. It is then boiled at massive temperatures to remove the solvent, a process that completely destroys the delicate ricinoleic acid profile and annihilates its transdermal capabilities. The heat denatures the oil, turning a biological powerhouse into a useless pore-clogging sludge. Furthermore, castor oil is a massive lipid magnet. If it is stored in a plastic bottle, it will actively pull the endocrine-disrupting microplastics out of the packaging and directly into the oil. If you put that on your face, you are driving toxic plastics deep into your dermal matrix. To achieve the fascial melting and structural lift we discussed, you must source 100% pure, organic, cold-pressed, hexane-free castor oil. It must, without exception, be packaged in a dark amber glass bottle. The dark glass protects the volatile ricinoleic acid from UV degradation, and the glass ensures zero plastic leaching. The oil should not be perfectly clear. It should have a thick, viscous, slightly golden hue and a very faint, earthy scent. To transform this oil from a simple moisturizer into a highly active, targeted fascial solvent, we are going to prepare a concentrated dermal patch. You are not just going to smear this on your face. You are going to create an occlusive environment that forces the ricinoleic acid deep into the nasolabial fold. Here is the exact preparation protocol. You will need your pure, glass-bottled castor oil, a small roll of organic, unbleached cotton flannel, and a roll of medical-grade paper tape. Do not use synthetic cotton balls or bleached makeup pads. The chemical bleach will be dragged into your skin by the oil. You must use organic cotton flannel. Cut 2 small strips of the cotton flannel. They should be roughly 3 inches long and half an inch wide, just large enough to perfectly cover the exact length of your left and right nasolabial folds, from the edge of the nostril down to the corner of the mouth. Place these 2 small flannel strips into a clean glass dish. Carefully drip the pure castor oil onto the flannel. You want the fabric to be heavily saturated, deep amber in color, but not dripping wet. It should be soaked completely through. Allow the flannel to sit in the oil for 5 minutes to fully absorb the ricinoleic acid into its fibers. This is your active dermal patch. It costs pennies to make, yet it contains more bioactive tissue-regenerating power than a $500 syringe of cross-linked hyaluronic acid. Now, we initiate the fascial release protocol. This must be done at night, right before you go to bed. Your skin enters its deepest phase of cellular repair and regeneration between midnight and 4 in the morning. We are going to hijack this natural circadian rhythm and supercharge it with the ricinoleic acid. Start with a completely clean, dry face. Remove all makeup, sunscreen, and synthetic serums. Do not apply any other creams or toners before this process. You want the castor oil to have uninterrupted, direct access to your bare stratum corneum. Take the first saturated flannel strip and press it firmly directly over your left nasolabial fold. Smooth it down so there are no air bubbles. Take the second strip and press it over the right fold. Now, to create the occlusive seal, take a piece of your medical-grade paper tape and tape the flannel down securely to your face. This tape is critical. It serves 2 biological functions. First, it prevents the oil from wiping off onto your pillow. Second, and most importantly, it creates a microclimate of trapped body heat. As your body heat radiates into the occlusive patch, it gently warms the castor oil. This thermal elevation increases the lipid fluidization of your skin, physically expanding the pores and driving the ricinoleic acid drastically deeper into the fascial tissue than it could ever reach on its own. You are going to sleep with these patches on your face for the entire night. When you apply the patch, you will feel a distinct sensation within the first 20 minutes. As the ricinoleic acid penetrates the epidermis and hits the SMAS layer, it triggers that massive vasodilation we discussed. You will feel a deep, comforting warmth spreading around your mouth and up into your cheeks. You might feel a very subtle, microscopic pulsing sensation. Do not be alarmed. This is the feeling of stagnant, oxygen-starved tissue suddenly being flooded with fresh, nutrient-rich blood. The fibrotic tension is beginning to melt. When you wake up in the morning, gently peel off the tape and remove the flannel strips. Discard the flannel. Do not reuse it, as it has drawn cellular waste out of your pores during the night. Wipe away the excess oil with a warm, damp cloth. Let us break down the exact timeline of structural regeneration you are about to witness. Day 1. After you remove your very first overnight patch, walk to the mirror. The immediate visible change will shock you. The harsh, deep shadow of the nasolabial fold will look significantly softer. This is not permanent yet. This is the immediate result of extreme, deep tissue hydration. The ricinoleic acid has flooded the dehydrated dermal matrix, plumping the skin from the inside out. The tissue will feel incredibly soft, and the tight pulling sensation around your mouth will be gone. Day 7. You have now completed 7 consecutive nights of the castor oil dermal patch protocol. This is when the true fascial release begins to show. The zygomaticus muscles in your cheeks have been absorbing the anti-inflammatory omega-9s every single night. The rigid connective tissue gluing the fold in place has begun to physically soften and detach. You will notice that when you smile or talk, your face moves more fluidly. The heavy fat pads of your cheeks, which were causing the fold, are beginning to lift because the downward tension has been released. The lines are visibly shallower, even in harsh overhead lighting. Day 30. This is the cellular turnover milestone. You have forced 30 nights of uninterrupted deep tissue blood flow into the scarred folds. Your body has utilized this oxygen rush to physically synthesize new collagen and elastin fibers directly within the crease. The deep ravine that the med spas swore required expensive synthetic injectables has been remarkably filled from within by your own regenerated tissue. The fold is no longer a sharp collapsing shadow. It is a soft, natural contour. You have successfully dismantled the microparalysis, rebuilt the dermal volume, and completely bypassed the predatory filler industry. You have the power to reconstruct your own facial architecture. You do not need to be a victim of gravity, and you certainly do not need to be a victim of a cosmetic cartel that views your aging face as an ATM machine. The tools for profound biological restoration have always been provided by nature, completely ignoring the profit models of modern clinics. Do not let another day go by feeding into the lies of the dermal filler industry. Start this pure castor oil protocol tonight and watch those deep nasolabial folds fade into history. If you are ready to reject the expensive cosmetic matrix and reclaim your cellular health with real biological science, hit the subscribe button right now. Share this video with anyone who is tired of being manipulated by med spas. And crucially, check the description box below. I have linked the exact 100% pure, cold-pressed, hexane-free, glass-bottled castor oil you must use to make this work. Do not risk it with cheap imitations. Use the links provided, start the healing process tonight, and I will see you in the next video.